They both thought the other was dead, a casualty of a war that had torn their world and their love story apart. For 50 years, they lived separate lives, haunted by the ghost of a love they believed was lost forever. But a chance meeting, in the most unlikely and sorrowful of places, became the setting for a divine reunion, a miracle of timing that proves God is the ultimate author of our love stories, and His plans are never thwarted by time, distance, or even death. This is the profound story of a love that was written in heaven and, after a lifetime of waiting, was finally fulfilled on earth. Their names were David and Sarah, and they had been childhood sweethearts in a small European village in the late 1930s. Their love was the innocent, all-consuming love of youth, a bond they believed was unbreakable. They had planned their entire lives together. But then, the world went to war. David was conscripted into the army, and their village was thrown into chaos. Before he left, he made a promise to her under their favorite oak tree. "I will come back for you," he vowed, "and if I die, I will love you from the other side." They wrote to each other constantly, their letters a fragile lifeline in a world of violence and fear. But one day, the letters stopped. Sarah was told that David's unit had been wiped out in a brutal battle. There were no survivors. Her world shattered. Shortly after, with her village facing invasion, Sarah's family fled, eventually immigrating to the United States as refugees. She carried the grief of her lost love like a permanent shadow on her soul. What Sarah didn't know was that David had survived. He had been severely wounded and taken as a prisoner of war. By the time he was liberated and made his way back to their village, it was empty. Her family was gone, and no one knew where. He searched for years, but the chaos of post-war Europe had erased all traces of her. He, too, eventually immigrated to the United States, convinced that his beloved Sarah had perished in the war. The stakes were a tragedy of miscommunication, a love story brutally severed by the chaos of human history. For the next 50 years, they lived parallel lives. An ocean and a continent apart, and yet only a few hundred miles from each other. They both eventually married other people, had children, and built new lives. They were good, decent people who honored their new commitments. But in the quietest moments of their hearts, they never forgot their first love. They would each, in their own moments of solitude, think of the other, a bittersweet memory of a life that was supposed to be. Then, after 50 years, God's perfect, patient timing began to reveal its masterful plan. David's wife passed away after a long illness. A year later, Sarah's husband also passed away. They were both now in their late 70s, alone, and navigating the unfamiliar landscape of grief. One day, David was visiting a friend in the hospital. As he sat in the sterile, quiet waiting room, an elderly woman sat down next to him. They struck up a polite, quiet conversation, the kind that strangers make in places of sickness and sorrow. They spoke of their late spouses, of their children, of the lives they had lived. As they spoke, David noticed the woman's accent. It was faint, almost gone after a lifetime in America, but he recognized the specific dialect of his home village. He asked her where she was from. When she named the small, forgotten village of his youth, his heart stopped. The feeling in that cold, impersonal waiting room suddenly became sacred, charged with an impossible, miraculous energy. He looked at her, truly looked at her, past the wrinkles and the gray hair, and he saw the girl he had fallen in love with under the oak tree 70 years ago. His voice trembled as he said her name. "Sarah?" She looked at him, her eyes widening in disbelief. And in his eyes, she saw the boy who had promised to love her forever. The dam of 50 years of grief and misunderstanding broke. They collapsed into each other's arms, weeping, a reunion so impossible, so miraculous, that it could only have been orchestrated by a divine hand. This is a story that reveals the profound and mysterious nature of God's plan, especially when it comes to the matters of the heart. It is a love story that was never truly broken, only placed on a divine pause. This was not a coincidence. This was a divine appointment, 50 years in the making. The hospital waiting room, a place of sickness and endings, became a sacred space, a cathedral where a love that had been crucified by war was resurrected. This story is a testament to the fact that God's timing is perfect. Why did he wait 50 years? Because David and Sarah had made other commitments, had other lives to live, other lessons to learn. Their reunion could not happen until the timing was right for everyone, until their separate journeys had been completed. God's plan honored their integrity, their faithfulness to the lives they had built, while never forgetting the original love story he had written for them. It is a powerful message for anyone who feels that they have missed their chance at love, or who is grieving a relationship that was lost to time or circumstance. It is a promise that no true connection is ever truly lost. The bonds of love exist outside of time and space. God's plan for your life and for your heart is far more intricate and beautiful than you can possibly imagine. David and Sarah spent their final years together, their love, which had been preserved for half a century, finally allowed to blossom. Their story is a divine testament that love is the most powerful force in the universe. It is a promise from God that what is meant for you will find you, even if it takes a lifetime. Trust in the author of your love story. His timing is always, always perfect. If you believe in the power of divinely orchestrated love stories and God's perfect timing, consider following for more messages that will fill your heart with hope.